Tesla has reportedly told suppliers it wants to start production of a new mass market EV codenamed Redwood in mid-2025, so production is supposed to start in June of 2025. And in this case, Tesla really has no incentive to tell suppliers to be ready in 2025 if Tesla thinks it will not be ready until 2026. Because the potential cannibalization of the Model 3 or Y is just too high if it is not ready on time. If you look at my Tesla valuation on Patreon, you will see that if Tesla launches its next-gen vehicle in June of 2025, it will actually exceed my expectations. So to me, this is great news. Reuters sources describe the next-generation vehicle as a compact crossover. According to the report, Tesla has been talking to suppliers about a production of 10,000 vehicles per week, an annualized rate of 500,000 vehicles. Naturally, it takes time to scale. One of the sources said that they have been overly optimistic on most of their new product launches. Volume output is more likely to begin in 2026. Interestingly, Tesla in recent years tore down a Honda Civic, whose price starts at $24,000 roughly in the US, to study how to make cheaper cars, two separate sources said. The next generation Tesla architecture, internally called NV9X, will include 2 or more models, said the two people and one of the initial sources. It could be a smaller Model 3, a smaller Model Y, and a robotaxi if it's more than 2. But we are also still waiting for a Tesla van and a minivan. But I think the first car will be a smaller Model Y. Sawyer speculates that the codename Redwood refers to a couple things. Number one, Tesla co-founder J.B. Straubel left Tesla in 2019 to start his own battery recycling company called Redwood. It was always Tesla's long-term goal to make a low-cost mass-market EV. He rejoined Tesla in 2023 as a board member, so therefore he might have had some influence here. Number two, Redwood trees are very tall trees that can grow to over 400 feet tall. Tesla codenaming their next-gen vehicle Redwood could refer to the fact that this project is a tall order from a cost reduction, production, and efficiency standpoint, but certainly doable. To me personally, it just means the vehicle is going to be a big success with lots of units sold. That's all it means to me. With the next generation vehicle coming, it is important to remember that Tesla is not just a car company. It is not just an AI company. It is not just an energy company. It is also a boat company. James gave us a kind update about the next generation vehicle situation, since Tesla is unlikely to announce this product until it is close to being ready to ship to prevent Osborne. I think they may skip right over phase 1 and 2. In fact, I think we are already past phase 2, says James. Product is already lit, and today's news means we are in phase 3. Yeah, I'm not seeing any Tesla bears arguing that the next generation vehicle will never happen anymore. I did ask myself, like many Tesla bulls also, why did the leak happen today? Why? Is it just a coincidence? Or is something going to happen on the earnings call today? Well, we'll find out very soon. Remember how just now recently Model 3 deliveries were stopped in Australia due to an issue with child restraint anchorage points? Well, Tesla is restarting the deliveries as soon as this weekend. Oh, Ross Gerber selling even more Tesla stock. Alexandra does not like when CNBC or Yahoo Finance names him a Tesla bull. Ross still owns Tesla stock. He owns about half as many shares as he did in February of 2023. Tim previously worked at Tesla, and he says that Tesla FSD V12 is very impressive. I suggest anyone with a Tesla should give it a spin. Tricky driving, intersection, offsetting, peaking, very natural and promising behavior. I now wonder if they will solve self-driving before solving the auto wiper. Omar feels pretty good about FSD 12. He says it fixes so many problems that have existed for years. Pinch me, I must be dreaming, he says. But then why isn't it released to a wider audience, a wider customer base? It's not ready for that because it has a few software bugs, Omar says, but it's getting close, expecting March or February release. So That's quite a long time. I mean, if it's March, that's not soon at all. Here are EPS expectations from everybody. By the time you are watching this, the earnings might have already come out. The street consensus is at 73 cents per share. But Gary points out that Q4 EPS number is not that important to institutional investors since it includes too many one-time items. Investors will focus on Q4 auto gross margin excluding regulatory credits, 2024 volume guidance, and timing of various product initiatives, the next generation vehicle, FSD, Optimus, Cybertruck ramp, etc. Investors want to know if auto gross margins excluding regulatory credits have bottomed. The structure of Elon's new compensation plan isn't that important either, although there will be questions about where it stands, which Elon would be wise not to answer unless it's done. To me personally, the compensation plan is quite important because Elon has made it pretty clear that unless he gets it, he's not going to be as focused on future product development at Tesla. And I think there is a lot of value to be created in the future if Elon focuses on these new products. But the reason why institutional investors don't think that's a big deal is because they do not believe in these long-term products that Tesla would be working on if Elon stays at Tesla and is focused on Tesla. I personally strongly believe that the compensation plan is going to be implemented, and therefore the institutional investors are really underestimating the future potential of Tesla. Looking at the automotive gross margin excluding regulatory credits, Troy is at 15.7%. The analyst consensus is at 16.7%. So this is a number that many people will really pay attention to. We got the model mix for last week's China deliveries, and it's pretty much unchanged. No major changes. Remember, we did have price cuts, and maybe it will take until next week to really understand if that will impact the model mix. The union chair who was prepared to drive Tesla out of Sweden will step down. Now, if you look at these union leaders, typically they stay in power for about a decade. She only is going to stay for 4 years, so not a long time. She says it's due to mostly personal reasons, her not wanting to work as intensely as she did previously. But I think this is also partially, at least, because the union cannot really win against Tesla. So maybe we will get someone who is going to actually work with Tesla and try to cooperate with Tesla. Maybe not, but certainly there's a higher chance now of things going well for Tesla in Sweden. Tesla's manufacturing vice president in Shanghai said that we hope to make the Tesla Shanghai energy storage factory a world benchmark. I agree with James. They will have direct access to a lot of batteries that CATL, with its massive excess capacity, is desperate to move. Megafactory Shanghai will become a beast and will surely ramp faster, much faster than Lathrop did, which is located in California. Looking forward to this new chapter for Tesla in China. If you didn't know, the Tesla Bot and Dojo future projects are also 48 volts. Oof, Apple has pivoted to a less ambitious car design and delayed the EV's launch to 2028 from 2026. The car will also now only have level 2 autonomy. That's a downgrade from previously planned level 4. In other words, expect the car to maybe launch in 2030 because almost certainly there's going to be another delay. There have been so many delays with the Apple car. Someone took a picture of the state of the project. By the time Apple releases its EV, if Apple's timeline is going to be correct this time, they would have been working on the project for 13 years. Tesla delivered 50,000 cars in its 13th year of existence. If Steve Jobs was still around, there's no way there would have been such long delays. At this point, there are more people that think that Tesla will launch a robotaxi network before Apple launches its first EV. This is something to keep in mind. Very few people have noticed or talked about the difference of auto sales in the US versus China in 2023. The numbers are staggering: 15.5 million versus 30 million in China. In 2022, it was just 13.75 million versus 23.5 million. So the difference got so much bigger. Growth of China auto sales in 2024 may not be over yet as Giga Shanghai ramps up production capacity to over 1 million. I expect Tesla China to tap into buyers by opening its experience stores in tier 3 medium-sized cities. There's definitely a lot of potential for Tesla in China, especially with cheaper vehicles, although the competition is also tough. But Tesla has proven that it can compete in China, unlike other foreign brands. Now, I saw some people saying that 10,000 per week for the next generation vehicle, that's a low number, but Jeff made some very good points, and Gary actually thinks it's a high number for the launch, because that's just basically for the launch. Jeff says those are initial volumes for RFQ, input to the cost model to get a quote back from suppliers, not a commitment from Tesla. Number two, it may be more than 10,000 per week actually, as there are multiple suppliers on the same part. Minimum of 2 suppliers per part. I could easily see them installing 1 million per year capacity, 20,000 vehicles per week for year 1. Only then 2 to 2.5x that in year 2. And number 3, reminder, it will take them a period of time to get to that 1 million per year run rate. It will not happen on day 1. Remember the 2035 combustion engine ban in Europe? Well, Europe's largest political party now wants to remove that ban. I personally don't think there is a need for a ban because that transition will happen naturally as EVs get much, much cheaper. It would be like banning horses. I wouldn't have much of a problem with, let's say, a ban on gas-powered vehicles in very high density urban areas. So that would pretty much just be the city center. But if you do that, then make sure that there's a place for people to park somewhere and then they just take a walk of, let's say, 3 minutes to get to your final destination. So you're not really taking away any freedom from people. One thing that I sort of miss living here in Canada is when I lived in Europe, you could just go to the city center and just walk everywhere. Over here, even in the city center downtown, I really don't like walking here because you have so many cars, so many lanes. You go to the city center or the old town in any city in Europe pretty much, and you will have such a pleasant time just walking around. Not the case here at all. And at least here in downtown Vancouver, there's so much pollution that when I walk around for maybe 1 hour in that area, I start to get a headache. That never happened to me in Europe. AJ has pointed out something pretty interesting. Remember these auto sales in China, which grew by a lot last year? BEVs also grew by a lot last year. The absolute number did. But because the overall market grew so much, the market share of BEVs did not actually increase by a very large number, even though the total number of BEVs sold did increase by a lot. So it's not like we are not making progress with BEVs, because it does take some time to scale. Supply chains have to adapt to higher demand and all of that. And you also have a very similar situation in Europe as well. As people get more educated about EVs, we will see a lot more EV sales. Here's FSD Beta 12. Omar says it's really good. Elon says it's a breakthrough. And the main thing that I see here, it's nothing that, I mean, if you told me that this is FSD 11, because some of Omar's videos from before were so good, I would believe you. But the previous versions would, especially when you would drive in these tiny spaces, like this space right here with lots of cars parked around you, the steering wheel often would be indecisive what it should do. So yeah, this looks pretty good to me. Kathy Wood is all for Elon getting 25% of voting control at Tesla before fulfilling AI goals at the company.
We actually think interest rates are going to fall sooner and faster, I think, than most expect. And so in terms of valuations, that should be very supportive to valuations.
Currently, the market expects rate cuts to really start in May, and the market expects the rate cuts to continue. And by the end of the year, the rate should be around 4-ish%, which would be good for stocks like Tesla.
Speaking of deflation, Kathy, Tesla's been cutting prices on cars. Investors have been cutting Tesla's stock price. You bought Tesla last year when it was cheaper than this. I think you bought some more, a good chunk, a little bit more than a week ago. Do you keep buying it as it goes down, if it continues to go down this year?
Well, if you've watched our trading, and we do publish our trades at the end of every day, you'll see that we've been trading Tesla at the margin. So when it is soaring and everybody's excited about the good news, as we move towards electric vehicles, we will take profits. And likewise, as investors and traders begin to fear that we're going to be in an air pocket, we've got a 5-year investment time horizon, and we think that in 5 years, most car sales will be electric. And that is a trend that lower prices actually are going to encourage. So that's the good deflation, as we've got electric drivetrain prices coming down.
Okay.
In price. Tesla can price down. It can price down if we're in a weak spot globally, and it does appear that we are, certainly China and Europe.
Inevitably, most car sales eventually will be electric, and Tesla will largely benefit from that trend. And YouTube says you should watch this video next. My name is Matt Host. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.